Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again on this beautiful Thursday. We got a hell of a show planned for you. We got one of the MMA Goats coming on, Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson. But first, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is so simple. You pick more or less on your favorite players in the NBA, NHL, UFC for the chance to win 100 times your money. Available in states like Texas, California, and 30 more, plus Canada. Deposit match with code all caps Timbo and get $100 free when you put $100 in. That's code Timbo, and we got
UFC 304 this weekend, and I'll be giving my official picks on Prize Picks.
Look out for my stories on Snapchat and Instagram. I'm going to be putting my picks on that. Make some moolah. That's Prize Picks code Timbo. And also brought to you by starting to be one of my favorite refreshments here, and that's Spade. Spade's 0 sugar, 0 calories, all natural, and there's 6 flavors: cola, yuzu lime, guava, blueberry acai, kiwi strawberry, Dr. Spade, and there's only 6 ingredients, including water, sweetened with the most premium and pure form of stevia on the market, no bitter aftertaste, caffeine-free, dye-free, and there's added electrolytes for a hydration benefit, just as healthy as a sparkling water and just as flavorful as a traditional soda. So crack yourself a refreshment. Let's get that posture cranked up. Let's have a good show. Let's pick one of the MMA Goats' brains here and see if we can't learn a thing or two. Okay? So, let's welcome in Mighty Mouse, Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson. Literally, probably top 3 MMA Goats. Now he's 37 years old. Stands a 5'3", 135 pounds. That 125 was his weight class. And a record of 25-4. And one of my favorite wins is when he fought Henry Cejudo and just crumpled him. Hit him with a good knee to the body and just put him down with ease. So, welcome in, and now he's a fresh black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and training in the gi and competing in the gi. And I always have a lot of respect for those guys that fight MMA and then cross over to Jiu-Jitsu and just kind of put away their ego, and they go in the gi and they get tangled up by black belts and they're not afraid to get tapped out. Benson Henderson, he's the same way, and learn the rule set and just be a real well-rounded ninja when it comes to martial arts. And, yeah, welcome in, Mighty Mouse. How are you, brother?
I'm good, Tim. I'm good. Can you hear me, brother?
Hear you loud and clear. How was your morning?
Morning was good, man. Did 2 rounds of Muay Thai, did 2 rounds of MMA sparring, and then I did, I think, 5 rounds of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and gi. So can't complain. Just having a little 7 ounces of salmon and a cup of white rice, and I'm having some avocado for my fats. I can't complain, baby. Life is good.
Dude, hell yeah. So do you have a cold plunge at all?
Absolutely, I do.
And you dunk in first thing in the morning?
Fuck no, I don't. I'm more of, like, when I do my cold therapy in my ice barrel, it's kind of like my workout of the day, where usually I do it on my day off. I'll do like 30 minutes of my sauna, come out of the sauna, and then jump in the ice barrel for about 5 to 6 minutes, go upstairs and shower, and then just put on some cozy sweats and just kick back and relax for the rest of the day.
And you usually dip in there. What is yours set at for degrees wise?
Mine set to 46.
46, and you take a swift 1.5 dunk, or how long?
5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes.
Damn, that's beastly. Have you got your kids in there at all?
Yeah, my oldest, Tyron, he's done it before. He loves it. He thrives off that adversity, so he loves it. My middle and my youngest are like, nope, ain't having it.
That's awesome. So you're one of those guys who has some like pretty natural athleticism. Like, it looks like even when you're fighting, you have good rhythm. You can tell those guys that are super blocky and didn't play a lot of sports in their past. Did you play any high school sports?
Oh yeah, I was a multi-sport athlete, played football, basketball, wrestled, did track. I pretty much done every sport besides soccer, lacrosse. Those sports weren't available, like lacrosse or like tennis in my school. But for the most part, like the American football and all that stuff, I pretty much did every single sport.
Dang, that's badass. So when did you start wrestling in high school?
Middle school. I started when I was 8th grade, and once I fell in love with wrestling. I kind of made that like my sport that I focused on. So when I went to high school, I would do track in the springtime, wrestle in the winter, and then fall. I started out playing football, but I was too small, and they never played me. And so every Friday night, I'm like, "Am I gonna get to play, coach?" He goes, "Nope, you gotta wait till you're a senior." I was like, "Not happening." Then that's when I went to go ran cross country, and then once I ran cross country, that's when I devoted myself to like, "Okay, I'm gonna focus on wrestling, but cross country and track is kind of keep my athletic ability up." I would do events like long jump, triple jump, the relay, just to work on my athleticism. And then wrestling was kind of like the sport that I was okay. I'm focusing on wrestling.
And then I was lucky enough at my school, we had like these high school crosstown smokers. So just like a wrestling dual meet, they would have the weight classes for your school and you'd go box the other school. So I got into boxing and wrestling at the same year. When did you start your first striking practices and stuff?
When I was 18,
18.
right after, yep, right after I got out of high school, right when I started mixed martial arts training. I started training at AMC, one of their satellite schools, and that's when I got my first introduction to like legit striking. Like, hey, this is a jab, one, this is a two, cross, left hook.
And what age did you meet Matt Hume?
Probably 20. I would say 19, 20. Because I was in a satellite school. So my first coach was Steve Skids, Luke Pittman. And then I would only train with Matt at that time, maybe, I mean, an hour a week, because we'll go up there on Saturdays at his gym and do like just a full sparring session. And then I'll come back down south and then work with my other coaches, not Matt, Steve Skids and Luke. And then eventually, when I got into UFC, I didn't really start working full time with Matt Hume until I went to a draw with what's his name, Ian McCall in Australia. Then after that, that's when Matt was like, "Okay, are you gonna start taking this sport seriously?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." And that's when I started training with him full time.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, Matt Hume is like really one of the OG legends. You couldn't have probably ran into a better coach who's more well-rounded. And Robert Follis was my coach for a while, and he would always talk about Matt Hume and how knowledgeable he is about all the different disciplines. And I always wanted to learn from him. So for him to find an athlete like you, and then for you to be as passionate about it as you are, and then I mean that's a mix for making an MMA goat. So super badass that you found Matt Hume.
Yeah, I'm blessed. Like I sparred today. I think this is like the first time I sparred, like legit sparred. Um, not, I mean, I don't want to say legit spar, but actually kind of work out in MMA. Like I did some work last time I was in Vegas with the Aljo, but that was more catered to helping him get ready for his fight and just working on a couple things. And that was more catered to him. And today was catered to my buddy who needs help, who wanted some help, but I kind of let myself go and see if I still have it. And like, when you work with one of the best in the world, like Matt Hume, he instills the concept of fighting in your mind, where it's like, everybody's been pissed off at me, but I like fighting is just so much easier. Granted, I'm super athletic. I understand where I'm strong at. I know that I can find somebody's deficiencies in the middle of the fight and I can exploit that. Instead of when you do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, when you're in the gi, it's like you grab a hold of me, I have to address that. I can't, slip and uppercut you, throw a right hand, and you let go of my gi, and then that's I can move. So that's the thing, that controversy that's going on right now that I've been pushing out there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's so hard to people don't realize like it's not easy to just go. MMA fighters at first, unless you're really into jiu-jitsu and you understand it, you can't just be like, well, I'm just going to train in the gi on the side and try to win a world championship on the side. It's like, no, you don't understand. Those guys are all in. Some of them train 2-3 times a day, especially in the adult division. So you're not just going to go win a jiu-jitsu world title because you think jiu-jitsu is easy.
Exactly. Jiu-jitsu is hard. Like you said, at that adult level from 18 to 30, those guys are monsters. Like, you look at Kennedy, Cabrina's son, absolute monster. You look at Mika Gavoa. I mean, the list just goes on. And those guys who are, Ronaldo and Rolando, those guys are all just monsters. And when you're doing a jiu-jitsu competition, one mistake can cause you the match, and then you're done. And it's better luck next year. In an MMA fight, you can make multiple mistakes in a fight and still come back and win that motherfucker. In jiu-jitsu, it's not the same. Like even Max Holloway says MMA is easy, and I think people out there who have deficiencies, who aren't efficient in all the realm and don't have a high IQ, will always think MMA is way harder than jiu-jitsu. And I'm not saying my IQ in jiu-jitsu is low, but it's not definitely as high as it is in mixed martial arts. But when you're in that match, you can't make a mistake because you only get 6 minutes, depending on what rank. If you're a black belt adult, it's 10 minutes, so a lot more stuff can happen. But at my level, Masters 2, I'll be 38 next month. It's a whole different ballgame.
I'm looking forward to watching you compete at Master Worlds in the black belt division, because it's like those Master black belt divisions are serious. So you should be able to get some matches against some legends, and I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what age did you have any side jobs when you were coming up in MMA?
My friend, I worked at Taco Bell. I hung gutters. I worked at Journey's shoe store. I went to college. What else? I worked at a construction plant. I've worked in construction. I've done everything in mixed martial arts. As you know, it is how it is. In mixed martial arts, when you first start fighting, you ain't making money. I mean, you're not making money. If you have, a mortgage, health insurance, all that shit, you need a job to supplement that stuff.
So how long was your stint at Taco Bell?
I think so I started working at Taco Bell. I worked at Taco Bell those are pretty much all the jobs I had in my life. I worked at Taco Bell when I was in high school, so I don't know if that counts as mixed martial arts, but I was in Taco Bell for about maybe 3 to 4 months. I worked a graveyard shift, and my mom, we come from a very poor background. My mom was like, well, if you want to have a car, I can't pay for it, so you need a job. And so for me, it was the only job I can have during high school, where I would wake up in the morning, go to school, after school, go to wrestling practice, get done wrestling practice, be home and shower, go to work at 6 p.m. at night and work 6 to 2 a.m. and then come home and then go to school again. That was like for, 4 to 5 months that I did when it was during wrestling season. So.
Damn, that's badass. Yeah, I remember Coach Robert Falls would always say, when you're coming up as a professional especially, it's always smart to have a side job. Have a side job where you have a little income coming in, and then you're not taking fights for a payday. Once you start taking fights for a payday, they're going to offer you a 13-0 Russian, but we'll give you $3,000, and you think it's just, I need that $3,000. Then you go get beat up, you get 3 losses in a row. So for those guys coming up, that it's always smart to have a little side job, have a little income coming in, so you can take the right fights at the right time and really build yourself up. So when was your first big payday where you're like, damn? Or maybe your first payday at all, to where you've made. My first payday, I made $300 to show, $300 to win, $300 for travel, and I was like, holy smokes! I beat that guy up and made $900, and I was like, life is good.
I think my first payday in mixed martial arts, I think it was $500 to show, $500 to win. No, I think it was $250 to show, $250 to win, $250, and I won. It was okay, but I was still working full time, so this was just a fun side project. And then when I got into WEC, that's when I fought Brad Pickett. I made $3,000 to show, $3,000 to win. My MRI at the time cost $3,000 for the Athletic State Commission in California. They required an MRI, so I had to pay that out of pocket. I lost the fight, and luckily, Reed Harris gave me a $5,000 bonus check. But you make $5,000, 25% goes to your management and coaching, then 20% goes to Uncle Sam. So you're really walking away with 55%. You do the math, it's not a whole lot. But right when I fought Dominic Cruz, after I lost, I made $14,000, and that was a lot of money. Granted, I was still working, and I saved all those checks prior to fighting Dominic Cruz. So the Kid Yamamoto, the Miguel Torres, the Clint. That's the guy I stepped in for. Nick Pace, all those guys, Demetrious Page, all those guys I fought, I've always saved all that money. So once I fought Dominic Cruz, I was like, okay, I think I'm going to stop working and just live my best life. And I never forget, my wife was like, baby, do I got to go to work? I was like, nah, baby, you ain't got to go work. Fuck that job. Get your ass back in bed. And that's when it was like, okay, I'm making good money.
Damn. I mean, yeah. So how old were you then? And then how many pro fights at that time where you're like, okay, I can do this and make this my living?
So I fought Dominic Cruz in 2011 in October, And so I'll say 2011. 2011. So I was like, well, let's say 20. Maverick Tyrus 20. Mavericks 10. I was like 24, 25, right around that range. I feel like.
Damn, that's badass. So for you right now, who would be a dream fight? Any size, any age? Maybe they could be dead and you bring them back alive. A dream fight for you who you'd love to just challenge yourself against in MMA rules.
Yeah, and size doesn't matter. Like if it's like
No.
if I wanted to fight like a guy like John Jones, like would that
Or Bob
kind
Sapp.
I want to fucking fight Bob Sapp. Bob Sapp's. I don't want to fight Bob Sapp. I think John Jones. I think Sugar would be a fun fight, but I think honestly John Jones because he's known as one of the greatest of all time, and I think my intelligence. He's very intelligent as well. But I feel like the way I fight in my chaos, if I was the same range, the same length, I think that would be make for a good fight.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. So how I mean, you see it all the time with these champions and you think they're never going to lose. But then after you
Mhm.
do 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 round fight camps in a row, did your training really change after you defended the belt 1, 2 times? I mean, you see it all the time. They slowly start taking things out, maybe not training as hard. And then the person coming up is grinding everything they got for that moment, and then they lose the belt. So after you defended the belt a couple times, did your training start to change at all?
It never really changed. We kind of catered it to the athlete we're going to be fighting. Like I never forget the second time I was fighting John Dotson, we worked on not popping up in front of him, and we worked on the cardio aspect because we knew he would gas out in the fight. And so I remember like Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays we would run 5 miles. Like Matt would ride a bike, and I would literally just push as hard. I run 5 miles under 30 minutes, and I would push super hard. And Matt was like, "Okay," he would ride his bike. Good job, pace is good. That's one of the times I remember changing our recipe to get ready for that fight. But then, as far as we would always Matt would look at the fight and see what I did good and see where he could work on my efficiencies. And so he'll be like, "We're just gonna grapple. I just want you to grapple. I want you to work on your Muay Thai. I want you to work on your boxing. I want you to work on this." And then things wouldn't really change. It would be just like that. So, when I was getting ready for Adriano, the second time, the first time was kind of hard because we were going through COVID-19. All the gyms shut down. My training partners was me, James, Tony, and Matt. Just wasn't the best situation to get ready for that fight and being locked in a hotel room, et cetera, et cetera.
Wait,
But the second time,
just you, James, Tony, and Matt Hume in the room?
yeah.
Damn.
Well, I mean, it was right when COVID-19 happened and everything in Washington State got shut down. Like it just
Oh,
everything did, and it was probably the worst part of like looking back on it. I'm happy that I did the fight, but I'm also happy I didn't. Like it's kind of like a catch-22 where it was like you're in Singapore, you're stuck in a hotel for like you get 1 hour out of your room, and the room is I think my studio room is bigger than my hotel room there, so you get 1 hour out of the room. That hours was catered to training. Then after that, you go back in the fucking room. It was just the worst situation you could be in. I feel like as an athlete, like if I had to do it all over again, I probably wouldn't do it. But me going through that transition, Matt was like, I came home. Matt says, "Dude, like I didn't like the way you looked, but I said, you know what? You're gonna have to go up and fight through this fight." And then I ended up getting knocked out. But then coming back home, training changed completely. Like we brought more people in. We merged two of our gyms together. Charlie's Combat Club got to work with a good athlete, Belal. He's been killing it on the scene right now. And that's where everything just changed. And Matt just literally broke everything down to science. He was like, "Stop doing. You don't have to do this." And he was like, "You're athletic enough that you don't have to do that. Like you have those good genetics." It's like Sean. Like he's genetically gifted where he has that pop, that speed in those
mhm.
eyes where he can draw out people doing things. All my career, Matt was like, "You got to work hard," and da da da. And the announce part, Matt was like, "Dog, you're athletic as fuck. You can do all this shit. This guy right here, he's not athletic. He can't do that. So good for you. Do it." And that's when I felt like my game went to a whole different level.
Yeah, I mean, especially with these 5 round fights, you guys got guys like you and Sean who are so fast twitch, and even
Mhm.
I mean, you were talking about just working on your efficiencies and stuff and how important that is in 5 minute rounds. And that's what with Sean, I'm like, he's so explosive. He's so fast. So if you hurt a guy and you try to flurry on the guy and the guy's still there and now you got 20 minutes left to fight, that could have cost you the whole fight right there. So, I mean, I've really worked with Sean on how important that is the whole day leading up to the fight, even the warm up, even just everything, even the walkout, keeping your emotions really low and saving all that energy for that 25 minutes and having the fight IQ and being present enough to know, is this guy hurt enough to put him away? Or should I kind of be small, really calm and be smart about it? And I've learned that a lot through jiu-jitsu too with Taquinho. Like we do 10-minute rounds a lot. So you have to be efficient with your energy, your explosiveness, and even if you're passing a guy's guard, if you sit there and wear on that guy's frames for the first 5-6 minutes and he's just constantly framing and you're just being efficient with your energy and the guy's constantly having to carry your weight, 6 minutes into the match you're going to be able to pass and do whatever you want to the guy. So that's pretty interesting how Matt Hume was ahead of the times back then, and especially with you being such an explosive athlete, it can work in your favor compared to someone like Nate Diaz, who isn't explosive, who isn't fast twitch, who only can punch at 60%. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, when you get to that high level in mixed martial arts, like, the championship level, I think you need to have every box checked, like athleticism checked, intelligence check, your cardio, muscle. I mean, like not muscle, but just your, the speed, the power output, all those boxes need to be checked. And then when you have all those boxes checked, then that's what you have for a great fight. And that's probably the biggest thing that I love about mixed martial arts is, like you said, you have 25 minutes to get the job done if you're a champion. If you're not, you got 15 minutes to get it done. And those in that 25 minutes, can you make the right decisions that's going to give you the opportunity to put them away or not, gas yourself out, where you see a lot of guys who I've heard him, he's got him hurt. And then next thing you know, he blows his wad and then he loses. And it was like, you dumbass.
Yeah.
Well, you have a guy like Nate Diaz where he doesn't really have that, I don't want to say Nate Diaz isn't athletic, but he doesn't have that whop, that torque in his punches where it's like, holy wow, that's just, you know what I mean? But he has that, that motor that just does not stop, that keeps on going. And you could beat a lot of people that way too.
Yeah, I mean, how many guys have Nate and Nick beat? The guys just gas out, beating them up, and then they're just not there at the end, and like countless. Did you watch the Nate Diaz Masvidal?
I did, yes.
That was pretty impressive by both those guys, I thought. Pretty impressive by Masvidal, and Masvidal, even in the first, second round, he has that fast twitch muscle where he can sit down and crack, but you saw him, he was punching at a good pace. He knew it's probably hard with Nate Diaz when I can crack this guy full out, boom, boom, clean, but he's going to be right on me. So he's got to be so smart with your pace. I was impressed by those guys.
Me too. I mean, those guys, two different athletes, right? One who's more he puts in a drive and he just goes and he has those punches, referencing Nate Diaz, where he does a good job crossing the void, gets in front of his opponent and just stays in there and just beats him. He tries to run, that is again. And then on the flip side, you have Jorge Masvidal, who has that whomp, that torque in his punches, but he doesn't have the gas tank to keep that same energy output as Nate Diaz. So, but a great fight. I mean, I think Jorge Masvidal landed more shots, and I think what won Nate Diaz a fight was just his energy output, just him staying on top of Jorge.
I remember Robert Falls would also tell me, he's like, at the elite level, like at the championship level, just like you said, you got to be a good athlete and you got to have all the boxes checked. I'm trying to think who's not the best athlete who's been the champion as of recent. Maybe I was thinking maybe a Sean Strickland.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. Yeah. I mean, Sean Strickland, he said it himself, he's not the type of athlete to go out there and like opposes. I wouldn't say he does oppose his will, but you look at the fight between him and Costa, right? It was kind of, Sean fights how he spars, right? Like when he sparred the Japanese K1 guy, if you took that K1 guy out and you put Costa in there, it would have been the exact same guy, right? You take Costa out, you put Izzy in there, it's going to be the same exact Sean Strickland, where Sean Strickland doesn't really like, pop, grab somebody, shuck them down, double leg, pass the guard. He's stuck in his ways. And maybe it's because he doesn't have the athleticism to evolve his game, or maybe he doesn't have to evolve his game. But I think that's a fair assessment. Like out of all the champions, like I would probably say he's probably the least, I mean, athletic one. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So over your career, what's some of the worst injuries you've had? And have you had many surgeries?
Oh, I've had hand surgery, I've had both my shoulders done, broke my leg, tore my popliteus, tore my LCL. So I think the worst ones is probably my shoulders. Like, and I broke my rib. So I think my shoulders, that was probably the worst. Like I had to get surgery for that. I hated.
Yeah, I've had quite a few surgeries too, but I've always found like when I do get my injuries, I try to like put my work ethic towards martial arts into healing my injuries and try to have a good mindset when it comes to reading, and I can grow other places. What did you do during your layoffs and injuries to keep you strong?
You know what? I just was a father, like just father and just chill and relax and enjoyed the downtime with the wife and kids. For me, I've always had a hard time I've always tried to be perfect, 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 perfect. And when I would get injured, I'll be frustrated and pissed off, but then it'll give me the opportunity to sit back and relax and just enjoy the fruits of my labor, I guess you could say. And now being 37, you know, seeing my sister pass, started dabbling in, THC, gummies, flour, all that stuff. It's like this shit is a PED. So now it's like when I get injured, I was like, well, let me just go back here and jump in the sauna, ice barrel, let me take a little and call it good.
Yeah, I feel like with the cannabis, it's almost like a meditation hack where it almost can bring in the present moment and make you really grateful for everything around you, and make the most simplest things entertaining.
Well, I find it fascinating because growing up, give a little background. Growing up, if you obviously you can't drink alcohol till you're 21, right? But when you're 16, 18, you can do it. Marijuana, weed was always those. Cannabis was always those ones that I just stayed away from. I just did not want no part of it. I just I'm not gonna do it. My mom didn't smoke, didn't have a father growing up, so nobody smoked. Anytime I saw anybody smoking, it was mostly cigarettes, and it smelled like shit. Then as I got older, I met my wife, and she was very big into cannabis. And, I told her, I was like, hey, I'm not about that life. You want to, date each other, you're going to have to put that away. So she did. But now that it's legalized, I'll never forget watching my wife get high one time. And I said, I'm going to watch you get high from start to finish. I'm going to sit here and watch you.
Judge you?
You fucking get high. I'm going to judge you. And we sat there, and she was like, okay. And she's, and I was like, are you high yet? She goes, no, not yet. And she goes, and 15 minutes later, are you high? She goes, yeah, I'm high. I'm like, okay. Sitting there, watching her. We're watching Ridiculousness. This is right when Ridiculousness just came out. And I was like, you still high? She goes, yeah, I'm still high. And we're laughing, watching the show. 2 hours later, you still high? She goes, yeah, I'm still high. Then after that, I'm like, are you still high? She goes, no, I'm not high anymore. And I was like, what? It's like, no crash, no nothing. She goes, yeah, you just fucking chill. And I'm like, this is fucking, what? Ugh. So then life goes on. This is before it was legalized. Then marijuana gets legalized. And she was like, hey, we're successful. I'm doing my thing. We have our kids. She goes, hey, do you mind if I, start smoking again? I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? She started smoking again. And I was like, okay, one day, this was like recently, my sister passed. I started doing edibles. And I was like, oh, God, edibles. I just feel like it's just making me sluggish. Then one day I was like, you know what? She's in the front. She's, having a couple of hits. I was like, you know what? Let me try some of that shit. I tried some and I had it. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so now, every once in a blue moon, like I use it just to relax, just to have a good time, enjoy the foods, enjoy the music. One time I was like, I'm going to see what happens if I do it the night before I go open mat session. I was okay. So I did it, and I never finished a joint. I take one good hit of that VIIA Hemp, the Mango Dream. I have a little bit of that, and next thing you know, the next day, I come in there, ankle picks on fire. Didn't get tired one fucking bit. I come home, I text my coach. I text Joe Jameson. I'm like, I'm going to let you know right now, this shit is a PED. Like, I am on fire right now. I didn't miss one beat. Didn't get worked at all at the gym. Like, this shit is amazing. And now it's like, it just opened my mind to so many different things. I feel like it's made me a better fighter, athlete, whatever you want to call it. But the shit is like amazing.
Yeah, I think if you have your sleep dialed in and you're eating some good nutrition and you're really taking care of what you need to take care of and using a little bit of quality cannabis, I think you would really like the Stores and Bickle products. They're They're like a German-made medical equipment. They have the Volcano. They have some handheld ones, and they heat it, and it's just a light vapor that comes out. So you can really taste the flower, and you really get the benefits, all the benefits of a herb compared to burning it. You burn a lot of the benefits, and then you're inhaling the smoke. You should definitely try it out. I think you'd love it. Maybe Michael will buy you one.
Michael, buy me something? Yeah, fucking guy.
Come on, he deserves it, Michael. No, but literally, you should check them out. Maybe I'll send you their Instagram and have you check them out, and
yes,
you'll really like it. And if you want to get couch locked, you want to get real high, then you can turn the heat up and you can cook it to like a 390, and then really like hit you hard. That's definitely our favorite thing.
Oh, I'm just trying to just enjoy the experiment. I mean, it's still me experimenting, right? Like now I'm going to this thing, like what's the best thing for you, right? When I look at guys like 2 Chainz, Snoop Dogg, granted they're not athletes, these guys have been smoking their whole entire life. And I'm doing research. There's not been one case of somebody overdosing on cannabis, but there's been a lot of people who overdose on alcohol. And my wife just laughs at me. She goes, "Why do you always look for this research?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm an athlete. I want to have the best version of whatever I can have."
So DJ, as of recent, you're starting to get into more cannabis. What are some products or brands that you like?
Yeah, well, obviously, I love VIIA Hemp. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Like you said, it comes directly to your door with a discreet packaging. And for me, we're blessed in Washington State that it's legalized. And I've been enjoying the flower with the Mango Dream, with the THCA. But they have something for everybody. You want the gummies with no THC, they got that as well. With the CBD, CBNG, all the beautiful things out there. Whether you're just trying to kick back and watch Netflix and chill, or you're going to a barbecue and you want to enjoy some good food and good music.
So if you're 21 and plus, check out our link, VIIA's website, in our description for 15% off. Check them out. You'll really love them. They're the best gummies on the market.
You heard it from the mixed martial arts goat and one of the greatest minds of all time, Tim Welch. Make sure you use his code TIM to save 50% on your complete order, or you can use my code MIGHTY, and that will save you 15% on your whole purchases. And make sure you guys have a great summer. Smoke responsibly.
Dude, that's pretty sweet. You're exploring it and stuff. Have you ever explored a little bit of low dose mushrooms yet, or not yet?
Nope, I might touch. I don't want to touch that. I think from the research I've done on it, it seems like it goes more to like if you have like trauma in your life and you kind of explore that. For me, I feel like I've been able to navigate that part of my life with, cannabis. So I haven't like, you know how they say, oh, cannabis is the gateway drug. It opens up. Next thing you know, you want to try this. You want to try this, try this. And that's one thing I respect from my sister. She said, we only get one life. I'm going to try every single drug that's out there. Granted, she ended up, killing herself. So she was like, I tried LSD, I tried mushrooms, I tried weed, I tried cocaine, I don't think she's tried meth. I don't want to try any of that shit either. But she's tried everything. So for me, I think I like where I'm at right now with the cannabis. It's good. It feels clean. I haven't seen any bad adverses, where, if I were to drink, if I was to take 2 hits of something to get to that level, I'm here. In order for me to get here, I would have to drink so much alcohol just to get to that point where the next day I can't perform the way I need to with alcohol. I'll just be hurting.
Yeah.
Where I've been able to perform at a very high level after having, two hits from a blunt.
Yeah. I feel like so many kids do it wrong. I mean, they're so bored and they have anxiety and then they smoke.
Exactly.
That's
the problem is like I've never had anxiety. You take anxiety, you bend it over and you fuck it in the ass. That's what you do. Mm-hmm. But for me, I've never had that. Like, me and my friends were talking about that, and he goes, "Man, today's." Do you have children, Tim?
Not yet. I'm working on. That's why I'm having to take a break from smoking, which sucks because I really enjoy at night smoking. I get a lot of my ideas when I'm smoking on the vaporizer, and I have good workouts. I have great cold plunge sessions. So many, but I'm taking a little hiatus from it because I'm trying to be fertile as possible because I'm 34, my girlfriend's 34, so it's coming to the time where we're trying to have babies. And I was listening to Andrew Huberman's podcast, and he says it lowers fertility, so I'm trying to clean everything up.
Gotcha. Well, when you have children, there's so much more things that are in today's society than it was when me and you were growing up, right? And like there was no anxiety. If you had that, you would just face it, right? Like if you're going to go to a dance, for example, when I was a kid, like, I'm not gonna worry about and let people judge me how I dance. This is how I dance. If you had a problem with somebody, you would squash the beef. And so, me trying to pass that on to my children nowadays is very, very hard. So, back to full context, like the kids who do have anxiety, who are bored at home, who have nothing else going for them, who don't have a job, da da da. Yes, when they start taking cannabis, yeah, they become, they rely on it. Where for me, I just use it just to have a good fucking time.
Mm-hmm. When your work's already done.
Exactly. Yeah, I would never like wake up. That'd be the first thing I do. Like I'll wake up, go train, come home, do dishes, do laundry, shoot the footage I need to, and then I'm like, hey, everything is good. Kids are good. They have their food. I'm gonna go outside, do a couple things, and then come back inside and hey, what's up, boys?
So because how old are your boys now?
10, 9, and 5.
And do you monitor their screen time, or how has that been?
We're trying to. It's very, very hard. Like it's not like it was, like I said, when I was growing up, where I would leave the house as a kid and come home at nighttime. Where today's society, you have a lot of perverts, creepy people out there, where they just can't go outside and do what they're gonna do and come back home. So we try to monitor it, where it's like they wake up, we say clean your rooms, brush your teeth, eat your breakfast, and go outside and play. We got a trampoline, but then when they come inside, it's like I grew up playing video games. That's what I did. So for them, they play a lot of video games, but we try to do our best. Like we have an event tonight, so they'll be outside playing, running around for like 5 to 6 hours, come home, shower, go to bed, and then wait for the next day.
Because do they have smartphones yet?
Hell no.
Not yet. What age you thinking for that?
Ooh, once they can show me that they are responsible enough not to lose it, because they have Apple Watches where they can communicate with us, but they keep on losing their goddamn watches. And so I'm like, I'm not buying your phone, and you're just gonna lose it. And I try to tell them like, we have to instill in them that like it's a privilege to have a phone. It's a privilege to play video games. You're not entitled to these things. So that's something that me and the wife haven't crossed that bridge yet to when they need a phone, just because they have their watches, and if they need something, they can just call us on the watch.
Yeah, that's good. So when did you start like streaming games?
Oh, I was 2013. 2013 on Twitch.
And I remember you always had Xbox on your banner and shorts and stuff. What was that deal like?
So that deal, a lot of the times I didn't get paid by Xbox. So I was a hometown guy, and this was right when Facebook and the UFC were talking about live streaming the event. And I was the first live stream on the UFC Facebook. And when I did that, Xbox likes to be part of like cool things back in the day. This is when he used to sponsor athletes. Well, me as an athlete. And that's when we first got that deal. I think that first one paid like $5,000, and then after that, in the beginning of the UFC, I didn't have a manager really who went out there and sold, look for sponsorships, and I didn't want Matt doing that. I wanted us to just focus on fighting, and Xbox was just so easy. We had a connection with them, and there'd be times where we get ready for a fight, we're like, hey, we can't pay you, and I'm like, oh, that's okay, I'll still wear it, hoping one day it will catch the eyeballs of somebody higher up at Xbox who like, no, we gotta get this guy on a salary and have him on a retainer. So sometimes, like when I fought, what's his name, John Dotson, I got paid. When I fought Chris Curiaso, I got paid. Each time there was a game activation, I was able to get paid. But when I fought, Kyojo Horiguchi, I wasn't wearing Xbox. I was a Bud Light. When I fought John Dotson, the first time didn't get paid. No, the second time I didn't get paid. First time was Tomb Raider. So it was a great sponsorship. I loved it because it associated me with a very big company. But I didn't get paid all the time.
Yeah, I always have respect for those gamers during these days that literally put in 8-hour streams. Or I'm like, dude, what's the longest streams you put in?
8.
You do 8 hours?
I've done it 8 before. I've done 12 hours before too. It's
my
stupid.
God.
It's nothing's better. Like I tell people, nothing's better than the stock market and YouTube content. Like me, Michael, will film our content. We'll drop, a fucking banger episode. He was pushing hard back on me against my asthma gold, but I told him I know what's best. I know this space better than he does. And so, we dropped that. I think it's doing 255,000 views as of right now, at the time of filming this. But when we dropped it, I was training jujitsu while making money. When I can do the things I want to do and make money and make my money work harder than I can ever do, that is the ultimate goal for anybody. And so for me, when I was streaming on Twitch, it was like you're grinding so hard. Like there's people to this day. Like I was last night trying to send a file to Michael, and I was on Twitch just watching people who stream 8 to 9 hours a day, and they only have 9 viewers. It's like you're better off working at fucking McDonald's. You're gonna make way more money than that, right? So yeah, the streaming thing was great because it taught me how to, talk in front of people, engage in my community. But money wise, it just wasn't the smartest thing to do. Like making YouTube content is way more efficient.
Yeah, that's what I told these little boys that were at my house the other day doing some work for me. They came in and I was streaming. They're like, I want to stream. I'm like, well, make it to the UFC first, and then you can train in the morning. You can stream, and then you can train at night. But you got to make it to the UFC, get your black belt in jiu-jitsu, then you can stream. Yeah, because you see these guys trying to just come up on Twitch, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I mean, it's like, granted, I have the UFC, my stint in the UFC. You got guys like Max Holloway that's streaming on Kick now. He's got a great deal. He was also part of the Facebook crew too. He started with Twitch, took a deal with Facebook, went from Facebook to Kick. He's got a great deal there. You got guys like Sugar Sean, who's still with Twitch. Don't know if he's ever got a deal with them, but I'm sure he can go to Kick if he wanted to, take a deal where they already have a big fan base. But guys who are starting out just trying to stream and make the content, it's a very, very long road.
Yeah. So who is a podcaster that you kind of looked up to? Because you're such a good podcaster and an interviewer. There's got to be someone you kind of learned from and took notes from.
Yeah, I would say Joe Rogan, Shannon Sharp. I think those two are my favorite ones I like to look up to. Joe Rogan, I've always been a big fan of him, where he can talk about whatever he wants, say whatever he wants, however he wants, and nobody can bat an eye. They can't cancel him, right? Like, and I feel I want to get on that level where I don't say controversial things, but I do say things that I believe they're my ethics and they're my morals. And, sometimes my producer doesn't agree with me, but, I tell him like, dude, it is what it is. And then, you look at Shannon Sharp, him coming from a background, NFL stud, and him, stepping outside the box, right? I always tell in my mind when I started the podcast is that I want to interview people who intrigue me, because if we built the podcast just around mixed martial arts, when it's dead and if it eventually does die, then your podcast dies. And for me, I don't want to be in that box. So that's why we did the asthma gold. That's why we did the donut operator. We just did Booker T. We're gonna go interview Undertaker. We're interviewing people a wide range where I have connections in all those realms and I have passion in there. Like, you look at WWF, I grew up watching it. I played the games when I was growing up. Big fan of all those guys. You look at Game in the Asthma Gold. I played World of Warcraft. My wife almost left me for a while. I still play games to this day, so I'm real touched with that community. And you look at the mixed martial arts community. I've been part of that game. That's where I built my wealth and my brand. So those two guys have kind of like laid the foundation for me to see how to be successful in that realm. You look at Joe Rogan, he'll have an MMA guy on, or he'll have a doctor on, or he'll have, fucking Joey Diaz on. You know what I mean? So he's always do some. Same thing with Shannon Sharp. He just had Megan Thee Stallion. Then he just had Cat Williams. He's had Ray J. So I try to learn from those guys, and those two are my favorite people to like trying to gauge like my trajectory off.
Yeah, same for me. I mean, right now where we're at too, it's like I know the MMA guys are going to get us clicks, but it's like I'm always not super interested always in the MMA guys. I kind of want to do it like a similar route. Talk to people I'm actually interested in and different stuff.
I agree.
How many Mightycasts do you guys have now? What episode?
Michael, how many episodes?
Say I think 33.
33 episodes. It's crazy because there's
33.
definitely an art of podcasting, isn't it? Are you finding a better flow, an easier flow?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think the last one we just did, me and him had a little banter back and forth to see who was taller. I think the fans are going to love that. And I think it's just we're starting to get a good rhythm about it where now it's, it's like having a conversation, right? Like I asked the questions that I'm intrigued by, like with Nate Diaz. I asked him
Mhm.
about smoking weed. I'm like, yeah, you smoke weed all the time, and it seems like it doesn't affect you. And he's like, it makes me stronger, and da 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 da. Where a lot of people might be scared to ask that question, or he might feel that I'm looking for a clickbait or whatever. But for me, I'm genuinely curious about like how does marijuana affect his training. And so, we just had Eddie Hall on, and I was very intrigued by how many calories he ate. It's like, how many calories do you actually eat? And he was like 12,000. I'm like, oh my God, like, how did it's like, you just have a great conversation. And I think, and I think it helped that I also streamed for since 2013.
Yeah.
So it just kind of flows very easily for me, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. We got, yeah, you could tell with Nate Diaz, he respected you and he was a fan of you, so he was happy to come on your podcast, which was cool that he wanted to do that. Compared to other interviews, he's like, fuck this.
Well, I've always seen Nate. Like I saw Nate in Vegas. He was cool with me. Saw him in Disneyland. We chopped it up for a little bit. So each time we've ever come across each other, it's always mutual respect. And yeah, so I was very grateful for that on the podcast, and just to pick his brain and just be able to learn some stuff from him about like, just the cannabis side of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's always interesting how they train. It's like it's almost so perfect for those guys, those slow twitch guys, and they train like triathletes, and they're pretty much doing zone 2 cardio all the time for their training.
And then when they fight, they're in zone 2 the whole entire time too.
Literally, yeah. So how about you for sparring? Because I see it with some of my friends now that are getting older who's been fighting for years and years, and some of them are getting, I mean, I don't want to say names, but like CTE symptoms, and it's fucking scary, dude. And I'm like, God, and some of the OG fighters who've been sparring and they're just tough old dogs, but now it's coming to the point where it's like, damn. So how about you for sparring?
Yeah, luckily for me, I never wore headgear when I sparred. That people were like, you should be wearing headgear. Never did, because I felt headgear gave a false sense of security that it's okay to get punched in the face. And so I developed good footwork, good defense. And, I've been blessed in my career. I've only been knocked out once. And that was I was trying to get up, and I got kneed in the face. So other than that, I haven't really suffered a lot of damage to my cranium, I guess you can say. And for me, I don't spar. Like I don't see a point for sparring unless I'm getting ready for a fight. So since I'm not getting ready for a fight, today was the last time I sparred. Prior to that, like a legit sparring session, like hardcore, was probably when I fought Adriano, which was 2 years ago.
When you were coming up as a younger buck, would you spar a lot more?
Nope. Wouldn't. Matt was not a big fan of
head trauma,
sparring, like head trauma. He was like, "There's just no point." Like the thing I love about Matt is like I'll never forget. And I think a lot of people might like not like this about it, but I fucking loved it. Like there's a day that it was me, Tim Boach, Matt Brown, Bibiano, and myself, and we come in the gym. We're getting ready to train, and Matt goes, "Guys, I have a question for you." And we're like, "Yeah, what's up?" He goes, "When I ask you guys how you're feeling today, I don't give a shit about your back, your knees, your shoulders. When I ask you that, I'm asking you, are you ready to make some fucking money?" Right? Like he was like straight. He's like, "We fight to make money. Like, yes, it's cool to be the best in the world, da 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 da, but we fight for money." And when he said that to me, I saw fighting as this is how I make my money. So now I'm at this stage of my career. It's like I'm fortunate enough where I've been smart in my investments where I don't have to fight for money. Where it's like, well, I fought for money and now I don't need money, so I don't care to fight anymore. So it's a very like I have an interesting like love-hate relationship with fighting, where like sparring for me is like, well, I'm not getting ready for a fight, so I don't need to spar. Like I don't care if this person says I'm better than you at fighting, I'm like, okay, I'm good for you. I'm happy for you. I'm gonna go play video games. Bye.
Yeah, and that you see that in bigger gyms where it's like you got to be here for your sparring partner, because if you're not getting ready to fight, they're getting ready for a fight. You need to be here to spar them, and it's like every single weekend for 10 years coming up, you're having wars in the gym. You're getting your bell rung every single weekend, sometimes twice a week. It is a quick way to just end your career. So how would you really get your heart rate up in your? Would you spar 4 weeks out or 5 weeks out?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I did spar. Like, I mean, I sparred, but we never went hard to the head. Like, we would go 100% to the body. I would push the pace, and now knowing where I'm at now in my career, I wish I would record all of my sparring sessions just to show people like you can spar at a very, very high level and still not give your teammate a concussion, right? I've never hurt any of my teammates. I've hurt one. This was a long time ago. I actually tore his ACL. I took him down a certain way, and then he went the opposite way and tore it. But other than that, like, I'll get most of my conditioning through pad rounds, through wrestling, through jiu-jitsu, through sparring without having to, hit hard. Like, I was just a different animal. And I guess like one of my old coaches says, I could train like all the guys I trained with in my whole entire career. They weren't like, if I was to ask you who, I mean, no, I'll use Henry Cejudo as a good example because I've been in his training camp. Like Henry has, this coach, he's working with, the Pitbull. He's got all this guys, and the guys, what I'm getting at is like all the guys he worked with were high level athletes. Like this guy's in Bellator, this guy's in the PFL, this guy's in UFC, da da da. For me, I never trained one of my training camps with a guy who was in the UFC or in Bellator or PFL. All the guys I train with, like my main training partner, James, he was an amateur. He just became pro. He fights for one championship. He hardly fights. Now he doesn't fight anymore. Tony, he's a financial advisor. He doesn't, he's not a high-level athlete. Matt Hume, one of the greatest coaches of all time. So I think he beats a lot of people. And then other than that, everybody else worked at Microsoft. And, they all had day jobs. So I was able to get to a very high level and beat and have 11 consecutive title defenses just by being a great athlete and having a great coach and great teammates. Because sometimes when you're in a gym with full of killers, iron breaks. They're like, oh, iron sharpens iron. Iron also breaks iron. And it's for me, I was able to get away with it because the way I would, move and fight, where when I get ready for a fight, I'm like, I don't need to have 8 weeks of hard sparring. When I get in there, I know what to need to do. Just like Max. Max, like, I don't need to spar anymore. Like, I know what I need to do. Like, I've been doing this forever. So for me, I've been blessed to not have any CTE. I had my last MRI last year. The doctor says your brain has not changed since the day you came in here. So good job. And I'm like, kudos.
Yeah, that's badass. I mean, same for Sean. It's like we barely spar. Unless there's a fight camp, we'll get a couple weeks of sparring. But a lot of our hard work is on the Airdyne, on the mitts, having mitts combined with wrestling. A lot of it's that our main focus for him is like, let's try to walk in that cage healthy.
Yes. And that's the biggest thing people don't understand is like, you want to, prepare for the dance, right? But you don't want to go into the dance with, a sore pinky toe or your knees hurting or anything like that. You just want to get to the dance and everything else should just come into place. Everything else should just be boom, fire right off the rip.
Yeah, and I remember Frost Zahabi talking about GSP. They're like, there's never been a person who's like, I don't want to spar with GSP. He'd always take care of his partners. Yeah, he'd maybe kick their body, kick their legs a little bit, but he'd never be giving them concussions and ringing their bell. And Sugar's pretty good at that too. Compared to some gyms you go at, it's like you're going with these UFC guys, and you guys the goal is to fucking ring each other's bell and put them down.
Exactly. And that's like, I want it, like the one of the things I want to do more is spar guys. Like I said, I sparred Aljo. I would love to spar Marab. I would love to spar Sugar. One day I went to a stream tour a couple years ago, and I was just sparring all those guys just to get a different feel. Because you think about it, the only time you'll be able to, the only time that Aljo and Sean are ever going to be able to train together, it probably is never going to happen because they're both against each other because they're the weight class, right? But I'm at that point where I'm never going to fight those guys. And they're probably better than me, right? Like Sean, he's way faster, he's bigger, he understands distance, he can pop fast. Aljo, he's bigger than me. He has great grappling. So for me, I'm like, I want to see what it's like to see. I want to feel Sean's distance. I want to feel his management without getting hurt. And you know what I mean? So that's what I'm looking forward to doing next in my career. It's like, okay, like I'm not going to fight Sean. Sean, I'm going to come down to, Arizona. Just I want to move with you. I want to see what you do. I want to see your intelligence. Same with Aljo. I was able to do it with Aljo, and it was fun. Nobody got hurt. We had great work. He won his fight, and that's what I'm looking forward to doing now in my career.
Yeah, I mean, Sean would be a great one to do that with. And now we're getting a full size octagon to put at his warehouse to prepare for, because the 24-foot octagon compared to the 30-foot octagon with his style is a big difference. So you're more than welcome to come down and move around anytime you want. You can get some good jiu-jitsu training. I think you'd really enjoy a weekend in AZ.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, come down literally whenever you want, dude. But we got UFC 304 coming up here. Let's do some quick picks here. Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad in a 5-round main event for the welterweight championship.
I'm going to go at Leon Edwards. I think Leon Edwards, he's at this point now in his career where he knows what he's good at. He's got great striking. And Belal, I just haven't, the fights I've seen him do, I just haven't seen. I feel like he's one of those guys where it's like, we were talking earlier that he doesn't, there's no pop, pop, pop. There's no boom, just that quick, there's none of that quick shit out of him. So he's almost like, I just don't know any. I'm not excited about seeing him fight. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm always interested in him. Like he's not a fast twitch guy, and I'm always interested with these guys who are pretty slow twitch. They got to be really skilled. They got to be fucking really skilled. And especially with him, he's got a big head on him.
Yeah.
So for him not to get hit and hit people, it's like it takes some skill. So I don't mind watching Belal, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that fight. We got Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blaydes.
I'm gonna go with Tom Aspinall. I think he is like a well-rounded, athlete, very fast, got great power, understands distance, good range management. It's a rematch. Obviously, he tore his knee, and we're gonna see how he's able to, take on Curtis Blaydes as well.
And do you think he would pose the biggest threat to actually beating John Jones out of Stipe, Tom Aspinall, and Alex Pereira?
Yes, I would say that. Let's talk about Stipe. Stipe hasn't fought since Nam, Francis Ngannou, and he got knocked out. So I can see Michael. He's like, why did he say Nam? I don't understand that reference.
I don't like that.
How did he seen that movie? Okay, so you have that, and then you have Alex. Now Alex is very, very good, but I still think there's unknown about Alex's wrestling. I know people have tried to take Alex down. But then again, it's like people have gotten. I think Alex has a better chance of beating John Jones than Stipe does. I'll say that. But I think Tom is just so well rounded. He's big. He would not be scared to do the wrestling exchange. I like Tom. If I had to rank, it'd be Tom, Alex, and then Stipe.
So how do you think John Jones can take out Stipe? Knockout?
How?
Yeah, how?
I mean, he could do it on the feet. John Jones has a range advantage, I feel like. John Jones is more creative on the feet as well. And I just think that Stipe hasn't been as active. Granted, John Jones hasn't either, but Stipe, his last fight, was against Francis. And then prior to that, I think he beat DC, but he just hasn't been active, where John Jones hasn't either. But I just feel John Jones is just an athletic specimen. John Jones go out there and do a double leg takedown, take it down past the guard to submit him. Like, John Jones has displayed that in all his fights. When he fought Rampage Jackson, he took it down, passed his guard, got his back, choked him out. He fought Lyoto Machida, crossed the distance, got him in the guillotine. I mean, anybody that John Jones has spot, he can pick and choose. Now, the biggest thing about the John Jones versus Stipe is that John Jones is 38 years old, right? Like, yeah, our birthday, I'm older than him, but he's right behind me. So he is 38 years old. He's not a spring chicken, and him putting all that weight on isn't good for his, like, joints in his body. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, John Jones is a thick boy. And I still believe that if he would have stayed at 205, he could have, if John Jones would have been 225, fucking lean, mean, and just shred it, instead of, it's okay. He's fat. He's got a barrel. He does have the belly. He doesn't have abs anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think that version of John Jones is probably the scariest than the 205 and the 265.
Yeah, because I think Stipe, I mean, obviously it was a long time ago, but I think he wrestled Division 1. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of anybody who's actually took down Stipe and made him look bad. I remember watching Stipe when I was out there in Cleveland for a fighter, and he sparred this big, tall, black, professional heavyweight champion boxer for 10 rounds, and he looked really good and slick. But like you said, I think Stipe is 42 years old, hasn't fought in 2-3 years.
I think it's 4 years when we
4 years. Fuck.
Yeah, it was 4 years. We just did it. I mean, like I said, when you're 42, right? Once again, this is me as before we start. You say things on the podcast and it goes viral. Everybody gets fucking butthurt, right? And I can tell everybody, you guys can always bet against me that my next jiu-jitsu tournament, I'll probably get tapped out or whatever. But when I say this, I say with the most I feel like fucking Ricky Bobby right now. I said, with all due respect, that means I can say what the fuck I want.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at is that why is Stipe fighting at 42 years old? This is for me. And his answer was like, because I fucking want to. Perfect. By all means, do it. But when you're 42, the last time you fought was 4 years ago. In your last fight, you got knocked out, and now you're getting a title shot. And John Jones, we have an interim champion who's a young, healthy lion. So if it was me, John Jones, I would, as UFC, and it's all about making money, And I think Dustin Poirier was talking about this. Is it a sport or is it entertainment? If we're looking at sport, then you strip. You don't have to strip. You say, okay, John Jones, you're going to fight the interim champion, which is Tom Aspinall. Whoever wins this, if you have to fight Stipe, we'll let you fight Stipe. You fight Stipe. But if we're looking at pure entertainment, I don't think it should be world title fight. It's just John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. That's just my personal opinion. But once again, I just think with Stipe being out for so long, being 42, I just think, I don't know. Like, I'm excited to see the fight, but when I look at it as an athlete standpoint, I'm like, why is he fighting? Like, I don't want to fight when I'm 42. Like, if I'm fighting at 42, I'm like, why the fuck am I fighting at 42? That's just me. But everybody has a different thing going on in their life. And
has there ever been a flyweight or a bantamweight that's fought in the UFC at 42? I don't think there has.
No, fuck no.
Hell no.
I think the oldest athlete I've seen fight in mixed martial arts, that's my weight, is Bibiano. And I think Bibiano is 42 when he fought, 43 when he fought. Yeah. I think he's 44 now. He's doing jiu-jitsu. Where that's the thing for me. It's like here's the thing too. A lot of athletes, as you know this, and you'll probably have to deal with this. No, I think Sean's pretty good. I think he has a good balance of like doing the shit he does. But a lot of athletes, they fall in love with being an athlete and fighting. And so for me, I feel like jiu-jitsu has curved that instinct for me to be able to fight or compete. Where I can do jiu-jitsu when I'm 45 and still not take concussions, get hit in the head, X, Y, and Z, and still compete at a very high level, where I think I would be very disappointed in myself if I'm fighting at 42 years old. That's just me. I'm not saying Stipe, Jones, whatever, right? It's just me as a person. Like, when I'm 39, it's like I should be retired. I should have enough money. I don't have to worry about fighting anymore, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, that's a freaking good take. Okay, we got Bobby Green and Paddy Pimblett battling.
Ooh, that's an interesting one because I give Bobby Green the athleticism, just the in and out, the hands, the speed. Paddy Pimblett, I think he's more well-rounded. I think King Green, he's well-rounded too, but I think he likes to go about fighting just with his hands and his kicks.
Yeah, I'm excited for that fight too. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on. All my listeners are going to love learning all this shit from you. And you are the man. Where can everyone follow you, Demetrious?
All right, boys. Well, shout out to Timbo. Appreciate you, Tim. You guys can follow me on YouTube. It is Mighty X15 or Mighty Gaming. Just type whatever the one's in and you'll find me, or Demetrious Johnson. Instagram, it's Mighty. And then Twitter, I believe it's Mighty Mouse. And appreciate you having me on, brother.
Yeah, definitely recommend you guys check out his page. He's one of the best MMA pages out there right now, 100%. And thanks for all the listeners. Hit that like and subscribe button and comment what you guys think below. And love y'all. Bye-bye.